What is going on, nerds? I am going to do a little summary of our great President Donald J. Trump's biggest lies. It's easy to kind of lose track of all of them. It's been a crazy 4 years, and then we'll look at what we've got from old Joe Biden in terms of what he plans to do in his first 100 days. But before we get into it, let's warm it up with Andrew. Bring it.
Gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang, gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang, gang, that's who I hooked up. Yo, there's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, it's and Drew, come roll with the Yang gang. Drew Yang, gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang, gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang, gang, that's who I hooked up. Yo, there's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, it's and.
Hello, nerds! Nerds for Humanity. First of all, I gotta tell you, we have a big show coming up at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, this Sunday, Jan 17th. So you might catch it live, or if you're watching this on replay, it might be available for you instantly. And that will be on the Andrew Yang channel, where myself, Paget Kagi, Matt Skidmore, Roberto Blake will be interviewing none other than Andrew Yang himself. So go ahead and check that out. It's on the Andrew Yang YouTube channel, and it will be live streamed. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. We'll be covering a range of topics like I would imagine we'll talk about how he decided to run for mayor, how he thought through that process. We'll talk about the problems and challenges and opportunities he sees in New York City. And then we will probably talk about a lot of his new policy ideas, and then like campaign strategy and sort of what's coming up in the campaign. So check it out for sure. While I'm getting warmed up, before we jump into those top Trump lies, there are a lot of them. Why don't you guys let me know where you're all joining from? As a reminder, I'm coming to you from good old sunny California in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm also still getting used to some new streaming software, so it might be a little bit choppy in terms of how I'm using this stuff. But thanks to our Nerds for Humanity channel members, I can invest in producing more and better content, and hopefully you're seeing me loud and clear. Interestingly enough, I'm not seeing any comments, so I just want to make sure I can see everything clearly. Go ahead and just say hi in the comments to make sure that I can see what you guys are saying. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to pull up another method for me to track this stream to make sure that all is A-OK. Let's see here. Okay, Want to See More says, hello, nerds. All right. So I saw that in my... Oh, yeah. Okay, I see a bunch now. Cool. So let's just say hi to some of our folks. Hello, Victor. Beta Alpha. K-Lash. J Shin. Want to See More. All right. I think we are good to go. All right, you guys ready to look at some crazy freaking Donald Trump lies? And then we're going to look at what Biden is planning to do, because there are certainly some cool stuff. Let's go. Let's go into it. Oh, wow. Hello from Norway. Love it. Hey, Cindy. Okay, let's jump in and see if I can figure out the screen sharing. Oh, God. Did that work? Nope. No, that didn't work. Hold on. Let me try that again. How about now? Not sure if that's working. No, it's not working. Ah. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So, oh no, those are the Biden plans. This is where I want to go. All right, here we go. As you can see, I'm still getting used to this. I think I'm going to move myself to the bottom right, bottom left. Sorry. Okay. So let's just. I haven't read this article yet. Rocky, you're asking me what am I using now? I'm trying out Ecamm. As you, oh man, as you can see, I'm still getting used to it. It's way more complicated than StreamYard, but I think it will be worth it if I put some time into it, like everything in life, right? All right, so let's see what the most notable El Trumpo lies are. All right. The most telling lie that it didn't rain on his inauguration. I forgot about all of these. It's funny how like how is it that you lie about something that's so easily provable, right? Like that wasn't like a big surprise. Um it's just sad that he sort of decided that he was going to be able to kind of trick people and tell them that it was like so sunny and beautiful on his inauguration. Like he's so proud that he can't just like keep it real about something as simple as the weather. I still remember him talking about how he basically had Spicer talk about how they had record attendees and how more people came to his inauguration than came to Obama's, and it's just sad. That was the first like week of the Trump presidency. Do you guys remember that? About the record crowd, and no one has come to an inauguration as no fewer people have shown up to previous presidential inaugurations in the history of the whole country. But like at this point, it was kind of funny, right? It was like, well, he's whatever. He's a little boastful. No big deal. Let him lie about the weather. He's like, oh, the rain never came and the clouds parted. And it was almost, the way he described it was like almost biblical, which is something ironic because I'm guessing he's not a big reader and maybe not a big Bible reader. The most dangerous lie, that the coronavirus was under control. Yeah, this is certainly the one that is most disturbing. Like when you say, hey, it's going away, it's like 10 people on a boat, China's doing such a great job, thank you to Prime Minister of China for his great transparency. Because this is when he had just closed his what? I think I just got a notification that we got a super sticker from Moon. Pair character lifting some weights. Keep it up. Oh, thank you, Moon. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, you see
Hello,
this
nerds!
animated thing? Oh, I love it. I love it. See? That's the power. I just set that up this morning to have a customized sound and little GIF. Anyway, all right. So back to the most dangerous lie. Like right now, as of this stream, I think we have 400,000 dead, like U.S. COVID stats. We have 396,000 deaths in the United States, as you can see. And this is a guy that said, oh, no, it's no big deal. Everything's fine. It's going to go away magically. And, or he said, um, you know, everybody should go to church in April on Easter because this would be the most beautiful thing as a Christian protest to liberate the country. This is the spring of last year while this freaking thing was just raging through our... And all he could do was say, well, I banned flights from China. You know what's ironic is that just last week was the first time that the U.S. has required people flying from other countries into this country to have a negative COVID test prior to traveling here. Last week was when we just did that as a country. The guy who's so big on walls and stuff doesn't even want to get people tested before they fly into the country. Now, I would argue people should be tested when they fly within the country too. Like if you're traveling around from one state to another, and you're bringing God knows what, you should get tested. So, at any rate, so that's the most dangerous lie, certainly, with 400,000 deaths. I think by the time he leaves office, it might be, who knows, 450,000. And it just pisses me off. Like, he basically did two things. He banned flights from China, which doesn't help when you have a global pandemic. You should just test everyone and quarantine everyone that flies in. And two is he did Operation Warp Speed, which has cut a lot of red tape for the pharma companies, which I think was good. We got to give him credit, and provided a lot of funds for it. But either he didn't realize or he didn't care that developing a vaccine and fast-tracking its approval is sort of like step 1 or 2 of like a 5-step process, that you actually have to produce enough vaccines, and then you have to distribute it to the different regions. And then you have to store and administer it at massive scale. And I think they just kind of signed the approval papers and then said, okay, now it's up to the states, go figure it out. And here we are, Jan 17, and I'm pretty sure like we only have maybe 3% inoculated right now. That's pretty weak. All right, so that was a huge lie. The most alarming lie was Sharpiegate. Okay, this was in the phase where Trump was still kind of like funny. He wasn't like super serious, right? Like he was just kind of like, Trump is just sort of like a clown, right? Oh, he drew Sharpie, maybe that wasn't such a big deal. So at this point, I thought like, okay, whatever. Like he's just being like an amusing idiot. Certainly, I would not say the Sharpiegate was anywhere close to the problems we saw later on. I guess I will say also that this was kind of foreboding in terms of or foreshadowing what we would see later. So you lie about the weather, you lie about a hurricane, but then, obviously the worst lie was that you lie that everything is under control with COVID when it wasn't. And you lie that people shouldn't wear masks and they should drink Clorox instead. And that, what was it? Hydroxychloroquine is going to save everyone. And, 400,000 people died. Hydroxychloroquine did not save everyone. And then he's like, oh, don't worry, Regeneron will save everyone. And 400,000 people have died. So Regeneron did not work the way that you said it would. It did not magically go away when the weather turned warm. It was not just the sniffles. Okay, so that's the most ridiculous lie. The Boy Scouts. Oh, I forgot about this one. Basically, the president took time to explain to the press that the head of the Boy Scouts called him and said this was the greatest speech that was ever made in the history of the Boy Scouts. It sounds like a real classic, Trump statement. The greatest ever, the best ever, the worst ever. It's all kind of extreme kind of superlatives. And apparently, according to the Boy Scouts, they never said that. And the call never happened. No call happened. So not only did the Boy Scouts not call the president, not only did they not say it was the greatest speech in the history of the Boy Scouts, but also they never even called him. So it's just one of those things where you got to wonder, at what point, like, he has a problem. Like, he just cannot help himself but lie. The man constantly lies. The ugliest lie is that Representative Ilhan Omar supports Al-Qaeda. He distorted a quote to try to get his supporters to believe that Minnesota Democrat expressed support for the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. That resulted in her getting death threats. And, these things, like, if you look at what happened in the Capitol, his followers sometimes take him super seriously. Victor Perez is asking, what is the name of this article? I'll put it in the chat, but it's basically, let's see, I'll just scroll up. Facts first, the 15 most notable lies of the Donald Trump presidency. So let me go back down to, here, and I'll put it in the chat. All right. So what I was saying was that these lies, they're not just like, oh, ha, Donald's being crazy, which he is, but they're also, his followers take him very seriously. Like, they take action, and we saw that in the Capitol, right? So when you go and tell your followers that a congressional representative is a secret Al-Qaeda agent and supports Al-Qaeda, there's probably someone out there that's going to hear that, and maybe they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe they have a mental illness, or they have they're under the influence, and they have a gun. And what do? Like, people try to kidnap the governor of Michigan, partly because the president said that she was some kind of radical communist that was trying to take away their freedom, and they needed to be liberated. So this is a man, normally presidents kind of are very careful about what they say because they have such a big loudspeaker, and they realize that they're speaking into history books as well. This man did not. Okay, the most boring serial lie is that the trade deficit used to be $500 billion. Turns out that the trade deficit never reached $400 billion, but he would make up claims that it was $500 billion. I don't know if that's as big of a deal. Like, yeah, he's rounding. I guess you could argue he's rounding to the nearest $500 billion. I think the bigger theme is that this is not a man who really is precise, right? He doesn't really use precise language. He doesn't use precise data. He doesn't think about things in very precise ways. He's very much a, kind of like shoot by the hip type guy, which can be dangerous if you're the president of the United States. The most entertaining lie: the burly crying men who had never cried before. That's interesting. So they were almost always male. They were almost very large, and they were almost blue collar. And they kept walking to him crying tears of gratitude, even though they had almost always not previously cried for years. So he has a series of tears stories, also doubled as sir stories, where he says, someone came to me and they said, sir, or someone came to me and they were crying and they were huge and they were manly men and they cried because they loved me so much. All right, that's just Trump being kind of a narcissist. Again, the lie in and of itself is not a big deal, in my opinion, but it does give you pause about, like, well, who the hell is this man in the Oval Office? Okay, now he isn't just a strange kind of comedic, entertaining liar. He's also a very traditional politician, that he didn't know about the payments to the adult film star Stormy Daniels. In 2018, he said that he did not know about the $130,000 payment from the Trump Organization to Stormy Daniels. And he did not know where his attorney, Michael Cohen, got the money. But he had reimbursed Cohen $130,000 himself. And, I guess it was sort of coincidental. So that's another one. That's a traditional lie. Biggest lie by omission is that he ended family separation. So much of Trump's lying was clumsy, half-baked. Some of it was almost art. He said, under President Obama, you had separation. I was the one who ended it. He did sign an order to end family separation policy. What he did not mention to Todd is that he had ended his own policy that Oh my God, dude. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. I mean, you got to give the guy some credit. Like, when he tells people, hey, under Obama, you had separation. I was the one that ended it. And what he didn't say was that the family separation policy he ended was his own. So that's old Trumpy for you. The most shameless campaign lie is that Biden will destroy protections for pre-existing conditions. Now, this is one of those classic things where you're like, hey, you've been trying to tear down Obamacare since the day you were elected, and now you're saying your opponent is going to destroy protections for pre-existing conditions. That's a rich one. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, hey, you basically are trying to attack your opponent for something that you did yourself. You're the one that's trying to take away protections and healthcare access, and now you're saying that, oh no, my opponent is gonna take away protections for pre-existing conditions. I mean, that's just like, what alternate universe are we in, kind of thing, right? Like, how is it that Donald Trump is trying to claim the high ground on healthcare reform, where all he did was gut Obamacare and then didn't replace it with anything? Now, I have heard that President Trump will be announcing his healthcare plan, which is going to be more coverage, better quality, and cheaper. And that's coming in a few weeks. I think his exact words were, it's coming in a very short period of time. So look out for that announcement. I guess he still has some time to announce it. Maybe we'll get that when we get his taxes. The lie he fled, that he got Veterans Choice. Trump could have told a perfectly good factual story about Veterans Choice. Healthcare program signed into law under Obama. It wasn't good enough, so he replaced it with a more expansive program in 2018. But that's not the story that he told. Instead, he claimed over and over, more than 160 times, that he is the one who got Veterans Choice passed after other presidents had tried and failed for years. And why not stretch? He knew he probably wouldn't be challenged by a press corps drowning in other Trump drama. It wasn't until August that he was asked about the lie to his face, and he promptly left the room. Did he really? Did he really leave the room? Oh, God. I wish I had video of that. Oh, maybe. Well, we're going to have to run. I think we're going to have to watch an ad.
Serious questions require serious answers. With a Forward membership,
come
our
on.
doctors take the guesswork out of getting healthy. Using
I don't think I want to watch
personalized
this whole
insights
ad.
from our biometric body scanner and collaborative
Just
smart
we'll have to take my
Forward
word for it.
doctors create goals-based health
That,
plans to build the healthiest version of you.
He did leave the room. Oh, maybe the ad's done
Move
now.
your health forward.
Hold on. Let's see.
Learn more at goforward.com.
Okay, maybe the ad's done now.
I've just signed 2 bills that are great for our vets. Our vets are very special. We passed Choice, as you know, Veterans Choice, and Veterans Accountability. And they've been trying to get that passed for decades and decades and decades, and no president's ever been able to do it, and we got it done, so veterans have choice, and now you have accountability that if you don't love your vets, if you're in the VA and you don't love the vets or take care of the vets, you can actually get fired if you don't do your job. We want people that love our vets. The first expands the eligibility for vets with
All right, so
blindness
this is him
in both
talking about
eyes.
it. Let's see if he actually takes any questions and
The
leaves the room.
treatment court program for vets. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay,
Thank
here
you
we
very
go.
Other
Here we
than
go.
punishment for certain non-violent crimes, okay? I think it's self-explanatory. No,
Why do you
no,
keep
you're
saying
finished.
that
Go
you
ahead,
passed
please.
Veterans Choice?
Please.
You passed Veterans Choice. It was passed in
Okay,
2014.
excuse me. Go ahead,
But it
please.
was a false statement, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
The president cutting off questions there when he was challenged for a statement that he had.
Oh,
Thank you.
God. She's basically like,
Certain
hey,
non-violent crimes,
you
okay? I
said
think
something
it's
that's not true. So why are you saying this thing that's provably false?
Self-explanatory. No,
Why do you
no,
keep
you're
saying
finished.
that
Go
you
ahead,
passed
please.
Veterans Choice?
Please.
You passed Veterans Choice. It was passed in
Okay,
2014.
excuse me. Go ahead,
But it
please.
was a false statement, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, God. All right. So that's the I Pass Veterans Choice. I mean, we should give him credit that he did expand it. He did expand Veterans Choice. He's just keeps saying that he was the one who invented it. I guess it's like Al Gore inventing the internet kind of thing. It's like, well, why stretch it? You know, like just tell the truth. Windmill noise. Oh, the crazy uncle lie. Windmill noise causes cancer. Did he really say that? Oh, he said they say the noise from windmills causes cancer. This is quite common where Trump basically will make statements and he will describe it by saying, well, you know, people are saying that windmills cause cancer. It's like, how in the Sam Hill does a windmill cause cancer? You know, people are saying that Obama didn't really go to Harvard, you know, that his marks were not good. Ignore the fact that I have threatened to sue the University of Pennsylvania for releasing my own transcripts. Ignore the fact that I've threatened to sue my high school for releasing my grades. But I heard that black fellow, Obama, I don't think he really went to Harvard. People are saying, oh, I've got private investigators going to Hawaii. They are saying they can't believe what they're seeing. All right, so that was the windmills cause cancer lie. Then there is the healthcare plan that was eternally coming in 2 weeks. So were a bunch of other plans and announcements. Remember, when he ran the first time, there was this thing. I don't know if you remember. Maybe your Trump-supporting friends can confirm. But there was this thing called repeal and replace. It's a high Ivy. It's not just any Ivy. It's one of, it's right there. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Trump University, Joe. Good stuff, Scotty. So there was this thing called repeal and replace. And he didn't. I think he's claiming he repealed by getting rid of the individual mandate. But the replace, I think we're still waiting for the replace. We're also waiting for the tax returns that are going to be released very soon, right after the first election. And then after that, it was like, well, look, I won. People don't care about the taxes. And I think the latest is that, it would be very inadvisable to release it while I'm under audit. Technically, you can easily release your tax returns, even if you are under audit. You don't need to wait. Are you serious? So he said at a Michigan rally that he was Michigan's Man of the Year, and apparently that's not true. Shocker. Apparently, he was never, he never lived in Michigan, and he was never given that award. I suppose, I'm guessing some Michigan supporters would probably say that he's their Man of the Year. But inventing awards and then repeating it during campaigns is generally... any one of these things, a normal politician, people would be like, hey, that guy's a liar. But with Trump, it's like, yeah, he's a liar, but he's our liar. I think it's the Magen kind of interpretation. And then, of course, the worst lie of all is that he won the election. And this one is particularly troublesome because, you keep telling people that it was stolen, that it was rigged. At some point, some percentage of your followers are going to believe it, and they're going to try. If you really believed that this election was stolen, completely stolen, and that this guy Biden should not be your president, and that the guy that got the most legitimate votes was Trump, well, then it's not hard to imagine why some percentage of those 80 million followers, or 74 million, are going to take action because in their minds, they're actually doing the right thing, right? They're saving the country. Like, it's not that crazy that they showed up with tactical gear, with bulletproof vests, with gas masks, with zip ties, with pipe bombs, with long guns. Like, why wouldn't they? They're patriots, right? In their mind, they are patriots. They are trying to save us from a stolen election. And so, this is something that President Trump needs to own, and all of his enablers, like that Lauren Boebert person, and there's a whole bunch of them. The Jim Jordan. I mean, you fan the flames and you convince people of a conspiracy against the country, and you keep repeating it over and over and over and over again, and you tell people you have to fight, or as Donald Trump Jr. said, you have to be a hero or a zero. What do you think they're going to do? So, at any rate, that's just a quick summary of some of the crazy, crazy stuff that we had seen Trump do. By the way, if you are finding this stream useful, do me a solid and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, because it helps us grow the channel. And right now, we're at like 18,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'd love to get to 20,000 if we can. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you Biden's plans, okay? So I know a lot of us, myself included, supported Biden primarily because we were just like, no more Trump, which I think is a very reasonable assessment. But then you have to ask yourself, like, okay, well, what is Joe Biden? What is he going to do? Is he going to, is he going to do anything? Is he just going to kind of keep the status quo? And so we could talk a little bit about that and get into what some people are reporting about his first 100-day plan. So stay tuned in a minute for that. Before I jump into that, I do want to thank the supporters of this channel. And by the way, if you become a channel member during this live stream, you will get the little custom audio animation in the bottom right corner, which I would be very excited to see. I think the channel memberships start at like $2, so hopefully some of you will consider it during the stream. But before we go into Biden's plans, let's just give a quick thank you to our current members. And let's do this. Let's jump in. Boom. I'm getting pretty handy with this, if I do say so myself. All right. We have Kristen Slevin at the highest level. Kristen's been a member for a year now, and it definitely helps us invest in producing, hopefully, what you will find to be better, more engaging content, and also stuff that has more data, higher quality, production values, lighting, sound. As you can see, I'm using some new software now. And then also helps promote the channel, because I use most of this money to then advertise Nerds for Humanity on other channels. Oh, we got a super for Brent Fitzgerald. Brent, you're going to get the little animation over here in a bit. Hopefully, if it works, it should come up in like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So thank you, Brent, and give you a quick bell too. Oh, where's the little animation guy? Hopefully he's coming soon. If not, I'll give you another shout out in a second, Brent. All right, so next level is the VP level. And we have V, JM Sap, Fat Lamb, Soldier, Laura, Joshua, Patrick, Bike, and Mindful Skeptics. So thank you to our VPs. And then we have Hardcore. We have Mike, Gene, David, Tracy, DK, Landline, Phoenix, Jackalego, Kirsch, Mr. History, Byram, Mona, Susan, Yang, Robert, Dean, Stat Nerd, Galessa, Jalesa, and Jay Perrin. So thank you for the hardcore. And then at the entry level, we have our verified. So we have Helen, Lisa, Sugar, Albert, Brandon, Yes, Brian, Peter, Arez, Your Maman, Sophia, Jedwiga, Gail, Shake, Mike, Doris, Emerald, Nell, Lori, Ben, Roger, Lisa, Christina, Yvonne, Tony, Rasta, Ryan, Jessica, James, Jalopy, Emma, Joel, Spirited, Hui, Stephen, Ira, Shoni, Philip, Jameson, Ender the Third, Doctor, William, and Karen. So thank you all. And let me see if I can find, I'm going to give Brent a little bit of a little extra. Oh, well, how come that didn't give my little animated guy? Well, Brent, I'm going to give you a nerd gong because my little animation thing didn't come up for you. But you get a gong. Hold on, get you back here. Thank you, Brent, for the super chat. All right. Now, we will move on. So thank you to the members. Now we're going to move on to what is Biden going to do? Okay, here we go. You asked, we have answers. So, first of all, thank you to the New York Times for assembling this. And then for the Trump lies, thank you to CNN for assembling them and keeping people honest. So what is Biden going to do in his first few executive actions? Okay, I'm kind of curious myself. And I haven't seen this before, so I'm kind of reacting real time. And I will call it like I see it. So if I don't agree with it, I'll let you know. He will send a letter to the UN, indicating that he will rejoin the Paris Climate Accord with the other 174 countries. I think like North Korea and maybe Iran aren't part of it, but I think most of the developed world is part of it. We had a new member. How come my little automated thing is not working? Well, luckily I'm remembering. Welcome, Monica, as a new member. Monica is the documentarian who built the Yang documentary. So there you go. Thank you, Monica. Welcome. Welcome to the Nerds for Humanity Nation. Okay, let's see. So Paris Climate Accord, I'm all for it. Climate's one of those things, like, if you get it wrong and you don't do enough, it's hard to kind of like catch up. And if you do too much, like, you're like, oh, great, the planet's too clean. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, there are economic trade-offs we need to make. But at least, we have some Trump supporters in here. And Steven is saying that Trump won, that we should deal with it. And I would say, well, Steven, if you believe in the Constitution, then the states have the right to certify their results, and the courts are available to bring your evidence. Okay, next. He will move rapidly to confront the coronavirus pandemic by appointing a national supply chain commander and a pandemic testing board, similar to FDR's wartime production panel. That's great. Yeah, so basically, we're going to have a president that's going to kind of take this a little more serious. We got a super sticker from Semery. Boom. Oh, you know what? I think when I share, is my little widget? No, it should be working. Well, we'll figure that out later. But thank you, Semery, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. All right. So this is great to have a president that's taking the pandemic seriously and is thinking about testing and also probably vaccination. He said he will restore the rights of government workers to unionize. New fight against homelessness and resettle refugees fleeing war. This one I think is a delicate one about refugees, because I think given where we are as a country right now, and given how fired up the sort of radical MAGA people are about any immigration, I'm not sure I would sort of pick my fight there right away. Abandon the travel ban on Muslim countries. Yeah, that's fine. In my opinion, like every country should just have to follow the same immigration rules. And just because you're a Muslim country doesn't mean you have, different, should be treated differently. Okay. So far, I'm liking most the National Supply Chain Commander and Pandemic Testing Board. I think that's great. Next. See, this is, I agree a little bit with Rick Santorum saying, hey, if you want to show that you want to work on a bipartisan basis, then don't go out right away and sign out all of these sort of immigration things. I kind of agree that is like, that's a hard one. Like, we can all agree, well, I wish we could have all agreed, but many of us can agree that there is a coronavirus pandemic. And, got a super chat. And that's what we should focus on, the pandemic vaccinations, as well as the pandemic recovery, the economic recovery. Thanks for the super chat, Wolfat. Appreciate it. So, yeah, there are things that will unify us, and then there are things that will piss off the radical Moggins. And I would like to focus on unifying the country. Oh, Rob is going to screen record this loser. Well, I hope I'm not the loser because I'm already live streaming it, so you don't need to screen record this one. But you're welcome to do whatever you like. All right. What else? Rolling back Trump tax cuts will almost run headfirst into fierce opposition, as well as civil rights and race relations may falter. Yeah, I could see that. Although I think, obviously, with the Democrats controlling the Senate now, my advice and hope would be, even if you have control of the Senate, don't stir up a hornet's nest, Joe. I don't think Joe will. I think he's going to focus on pandemic, testing, vaccination, mitigation. I would like to see a mask mandate, supply chain, economic recovery, and then maybe rejoin Paris. That's plenty for your first 100 days. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what else. Then they talk about other people's previous exec orders. We talk about Trump issuing an executive order to repeal Obamacare, about migration, immigration bans, things like that. Yeah, I agree that Biden should follow through on his promise to demonstrate a much more top-down approach to the pandemic versus Trump's kind of like, we'll just leave it to the states kind of thing. Like, if you leave it to the states, basically, look at us, 400,000 dead. So if the states can't handle it, then the federal government needs to get involved. It's not a state's issue. It's a national. It's frankly an international issue. Defense Production Act, National Mask Mandate. Yep, I agree with that. Sorry, guys. If you don't like the masks, like, then just stay home. But if you want to circulate in the community, you just wear a mask so people don't breathe your air until like we're out of the woods here. And with 400,000 dead, how can you? Why is it so hard? Like, it's amazing. These people are like, whoa, I don't believe the science. It's like, well, if someone like goes into a restaurant back in the day and starts smoking a cigarette, and other people in the restaurant are like, hey, that's really disturbing to me and it's dangerous. And then someone said, I don't believe in the science. I don't think cigarettes cause people to die. It doesn't cause cancer. I don't believe that. My uncle smokes all the time. He's not dead. It's like, yeah, but like at some point you have to respect the rules of the community. Yes, as Landline says, no shoes, no shirts, no mask, no service. Remember? Like, it's funny. A lot of the kind of radical Moggins are the kinds of people that are big on, like, oh, Donald Trump, is such a gentleman. He wears a suit all the time, and he acts like a gentleman. We got a super chat from Moon. Thank you. Thank you, Moon. I'm so sorry that my little animation thing is not working right now, but so I'm going to just manually call them out when I see them. All right. Let's see here. Hold on one second. That was National Mask Mandate. In addition to mandating masks in federal buildings, he will require them on all interstate transportation. An ethics pledge to impose tough requirements on people who serve in the government. Yeah, that's the irony. Remember when the radical Moggins were talking about drain the swamp? And now, like, apparently Trump has been pardoning a lot of his political buddies. And people are, like, paying money to get access. But that's the guy that said he was going to drain the swamp for us. So on day one, Biden will issue an ethics pledge building and improving on Obama-Biden administration's pledge to ensure that every member focuses on the best outcome for the people. Reestablish the Obama regime of environmental protections. That's great because, one of the things that Trump talked about is how he cut all of this red tape. And in reality, most of the regulations that President Trump cut were around protecting the environment. There's this kind of image of, oh, he's cutting all these things to help businesses, start on Main Street or innovation. And it's usually about drilling. So, Milo, I don't know if I buy that. I see you saying that masks make people sick. I guess the question is, why do you think doctors and nurses wear them all the time? So that's something to think about. I don't think there's like a big mask conspiracy from the mask factories trying to sell more masks to us. Like, seriously. Go to a hospital. You think they're all just wearing masks because it's fun? At any rate, let's see. Any other executive orders? Restore national monuments. Interesting. Oh, yeah, because Trump basically cut back on a lot of national monuments. I don't know if that's like the biggest deal. Assist poor communities situated in proximity to toxic polluting sites. Eliminating fossil fuel from the power sector by 2035. That would be amazing if we could pull it off. Zero emission sources such as wind, solar, geothermal, hydro, and nuclear. That would be fantastic. Yeah. So basically, all in all, I would say our man Joe Biden is probably going to do a lot of reasonable things. Is he going to be a transformational figure? Yeah. Oh, Lulz is saying my chat is small enough for you to get most statements and not those who super chat. Well, I'm trying to read the article at the same time, so it's hard to kind of keep track. I'm not as good at highlighting every chat I see. But at any rate, I think in summary, if you're wondering what Biden's going to do, basically, he's going to rejoin the Paris Climate Accords. He's going to invest more in pandemic testing, COVID-19 testing, probably push masks way harder, maybe a federal mandate. And my opinion would be like, if you're a state that's not taking this stuff seriously, and then you're asking for federal recovery aid, those two don't work well together. Like, okay, if you're a state and you're like, oh, no, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to liberate, Michigan. And you don't play by the rules, then don't ask for federal money for your recovery. Because if you're part of the problem, you don't get to get everybody else's taxes to then clean up after your mess, right? So something to think about. So he's going to take the pandemic way more serious, masks, and then he's going to invest in vaccinations, which is great. Because right now, this so-called Operation Warp Speed has resulted in like 3% of the country vaccinated. And we've had that thing approved, since like late November. So it's been almost 2 months now. And other countries have vaccinated way more per capita than we have. Like UK is ahead of us. Israel is way ahead of us. Parts of Europe are ahead of us. Like, what's going on? What happened to that White House coronavirus task force? We never even heard from them anymore. At any rate, so Biden is basically not going to be crazy. He's going to take the pandemic serious, and then he's probably going to give a little more economic stimulus, and he's probably going to appoint some reasonable people who aren't super swampy. So, yeah. With that said, I'm going to go to a quick Ask Me Anything, and I'll look in the comments now. If you have questions for me or you have a topic that you want me to talk about as a final discussion, go ahead and put them in the chat. And don't forget, if you enjoy this live stream, please like, share, subscribe. Helps us get more discovered, helps this kind of conversation spread further. And if you want to join and become a member, that would be amazing as well. All right, let's see if I have any questions or other comments that I can highlight, because now that I'm not looking at another article. So let's see. Radical Moggins are not people with a different point of view. I mean, I think anybody that's radical does have a different point of view. I think what makes someone radical is if they are violent or take to arms or are unwilling to consider alternative perspectives or unwilling to consider evidence and facts. So like a radical Moggin would say, hey, this election was stolen, and not acknowledge that these results were certified by all 50 states. They were certified by Congress, by Senate, by Republican-controlled Senate, and that almost 60 court cases were thrown out because of absence of evidence, where the U.S. Attorney General under Trump, Bill Barr, has said there is no evidence of vast fraud that would have changed the outcome, where Republican secretaries of state are saying there was no fraud, there was no messing around with ballot counting machines. At some point, like, when are you going to let it go? Because if you can't bring evidence, then you can't just say people are saying. you know? We can't run the country like that. And that's what makes people radical, in my opinion, when they're unwilling to listen. Like it's a radical Islam, radical Magan, radical white supremacists, radical Antifa, anyone that doesn't take a thoughtful, data, evidence-driven approach, evaluate alternatives, and try and make trade-offs, and then implement them in a structured and reasonable way, in my opinion, would get the term radical. Milo he's very convinced that masks are the virus. Gonna have to disagree with you on that, Milo. I would ask you to consult your doctor, consult your public health officials, consult your primary care provider, and ask them if masks are bad for you. And I think you'll find that most scientists who've studied this would agree. And if you just look at the countries that have very low coronavirus spread, they are the ones that are wearing a lot of masks. Like, ask the Japanese, ask the South Koreans, the Singaporeans, the Taiwanese. These are countries that have gotten this thing under control. Look at China. They are hardcore on the masks. And they've actually been able to reopen their economy in a way that we haven't. Let's see. Any other? Oh, Rob something is saying that is not being very kind, Rob. Rob, be kind. All of the money that we get goes to promoting the channel. Doesn't go to my pocket. Luckily, all of this just goes to more content. Let's see. Any other questions? Oh, Milo saying the doctors are a setup. Okay. Well, I mean, look, at some point I can't convince you. If you think there's some big conspiracy from all the doctors to kill us all, and there are some nurse making TikToks, like, okay, that's your privilege. You have the right to make your own decisions. But I would just encourage you to look at the evidence. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Or comments? Biden will not do anything like what he did when he was VP. Only war in Iran. Okay. I see I think something's going on with the algorithm. I'm attracting a lot of Trump supporters, which is great, because I think it's good that we have a diversity of opinions. And for those of you who don't agree with me, I salute you for at least sticking around and trying to hear another point of view. So thank you for being here. Let's see. Are you in the pocket of China? I hope not. My family has an interesting history with China. Since you asked, my family was kicked out of China after World War II because the Chinese Communist Party basically was very against both sides of my family. One side was I guess you would call my grandfather on my father's side an industrialist, so he owned a lot of factories and engaged in a lot of business and trade, and so they called him a dirty capitalist, and they kicked that side of the family out. And the other side of my family was in the Nationalist Party, which was the party that was fighting the communists, and after World War II, they got kicked out. So in some ways, I am probably public enemy number one for the Chinese Communist Party, because I come from strong capitalist stock and kind of opposition party stock. But that's fine. That was a long time ago, and I'm moving on. Let's see if there's any other questions. Oh, Danny is saying this is commie BS. I'm not sure that I would say this is commie BS. I think, are you referring to the Biden stimulus plan or the the fact that we need to do more about the virus. Anyway, Elizabeth says, I am changing from Republican to Independent movement to move people out of the Republican Party. Why is there no national movement? You know, I would say, Elizabeth, that you make a good point here. The Trump kind of radical Moggins basically have taken over the Republican Party. And the people who previously identified as Republicans, like Romney or McCain, now they're being called Republicans in name only. So it's quite sad. But it is what it is. I mean, I think the MAGA people should set up their own party. And then it'll be very clear what they stand for. I agree with you, Jason, that how many more recounts, hand recounts, not using machine ballots, like hand recounts do you need to do? It's like, I think at some point it's like you're just not happy with the outcome and you cannot accept it. And so the only explanation is that it was rigged for the MAGA folks. And that's just sad. I mean, a lot of us were not happy when Trump was elected. Nobody accused Trump of of rigging the election. Nobody stormed the Capitol building. I mean, certainly the Russians, according to the Republican Senate Intelligence Committee, were assisting Trump. But even then, people showed up at the inauguration. There was a concession speech. So, but this is just where we are. Oh, the first 48 Gaming says, storming the Capitol to stop certification so you can keep Trump in was a definition of communism. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not the definition of democracy to try and physically block certification by your own elected legislature. Let's see if there's any other questions. All right, I think we got most of the questions answered. Oh, Rob something. This loser is working for China and he censored me. I don't know, man, Rob. I'm putting your comment here. I think it's important for people to realize how sort of perverse people's views are, that me talking about the importance of controlling the pandemic and protecting the integrity of our democratic system is being considered that I'm working for China. Like, why would you think that I'm working for China? What leads you to that conclusion? All right, let's see. And Vaughn is talking about the Tea Party. I actually, in a weird way, the Tea Party at least was consistent about reducing debt. And I don't know. I think the only thing consistent with the Trump supporters is that they accuse everyone of being a communist. And, they're for anything that Trump says because, they were against debt. But then, under Trump, we've had record national debt and deficits. So they were they say the pandemic is a hoax, but then they celebrate him for banning flights from China. But then they don't acknowledge that other flights were coming in from Europe, and they still don't require any kind of quarantine. So I think the one consistency is, what is going on with the Trump supporters. And I hope that with the inauguration, we can actually, get a little bit of sanity back in the country. And, Biden's no socialist. He's super middle of the road. So if anything, hopefully the Trump supporters will give President-elect Biden a chance. And in the meantime, this has been a very spirited chat room. I see there's been a lot of folks who are convinced that the election was stolen, that masks cause viruses, that I work for the Chinese Communist Party. I'll have to tell my mom that. She'll get a kick out of it because we literally had family that were killed by the communists. But this is the state of the country, right? Like everybody's kind of thinking everybody else is the boogeyman. So with that, I have to jump onto another stream as a guest on another channel. But go check us out later today at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern. I'll be on the Andrew Yang YouTube channel interviewing Andrew along with Paget, Matt Skidmore, and Roberto Blake. So we'll ask Andrew about his run for NYC mayor, why he decided to do it, what his plans are, what his assessment of New York is. So it'll be super cool. And before you go, please do me a solid and like, share, and subscribe. Ooh, I see there's 10 people who actually dislike this video. I'm guessing those must be the folks who are very pro-Donald. But you can be pro-Donald and still like the stream because you value the conversation. So there's always hope springing eternal on a YouTube live stream. All right, with that, I'm going to say goodbye, nerds, and we'll see you next time. Bye, nerds.